Yo, dude. What up? Alright, so I want to talk about Netflix. But I don't want to just talk about Netflix. I want to talk about the broader economy. I tweeted about this. But I want to have one of my little, I talk for way too long. I go on tangents for way too long. One of those videos. So, if that's what you want to watch, enjoy. Sorry, no technical updates. To be honest with you, man, before I did technical analysis on anything, I was more of a businessman. I still am. And so I've just been working on a business thing. And so I go through phases of interest, dude. It's just part of who I am. So a little bit less interested in charts and stuff like that. More interested in this business thing. And that's why I was good at investing before I ever looked at a chart, because in Netflix, ironically, was my first great investment. From a public company or like a security type standpoint, right? Like before Bitcoin and before Tesla and before Amazon and all that, there was Netflix. Netflix was the very first stock that I ever wanted to buy. And I'll tell you why. And it's gonna tie into the bigger picture here. I was just driving back from Baton Rouge. I went to see some meetings at the state capitol related to my business thing. And so I was just thinking on the way home, I saw Netflix is down 20% or whatever, 15-20% in after hours. Based on losing subscribers. So let me tell you the backstory. So, and I probably have touched on this before on the channel because it's a very impactful moment in my life. But in 2011, 12-ish, I think Netflix was trading $10 to $20 range probably. And I just remember I didn't know anything about the stock market, nothing. I was a businessman. I did video production, completely self-taught, did music videos and stuff like that. A few of you guys know about that. And I just remember I was standing in my friend's room. We were recording music, not me, but them. And I remember just thinking about, man, like Netflix is such a good business, dude, because we had Netflix on. And I was just like, it's such a good business. This was when streaming was first becoming a thing, right? Like, so Netflix was a subscription DVD model, basically. And then now streaming was becoming more of the thing as the internet was becoming more and more available. At this time, I sound like an old man, right? But higher speed internet was more available to more people. And so streaming became a reality. Obviously, YouTube was kind of like the first thing with that, but that didn't really work very well at first, did it? But anyway, and I loved Netflix for no other reason other than it was $8 a month or whatever, and you got like unlimited content, or like so much content for $8 a month. And I was just like, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to pay $8 a month and have unlimited stuff to watch? I mean, it's just common sense. Like, who doesn't have Netflix was my thought. I'm like 20 years old, 19 years old, and this sort of logic is what caused all of my investments. Anything I invested in, I would always go, yeah, of course it's going to succeed. Why wouldn't it, right? So let's talk about now and what is happening, right? So back then, like I said, streaming was a relatively new idea. It was a relatively new thing. A lot different now, right? Everyone is streaming everything now, right? And so that vision, basically, that sort of course, idea that I had about that became an absolute reality, right? It is beneficial to be younger and happen to think something like this, I will say, just because you can see around the corner a little bit better. You're not set in your ways in any way, so you kind of are just like, yes. You know, if you're a little bit older, you might be like, I like DVDs or some shit. I don't know. I don't know what you would think. Anyway. Anyway. So now, right? Netflix has pretty much, it's a bad, dude, this is bad. Okay, this is bad. All right. Because last earnings season, what did Netflix do? They announced that they were gonna increase the cost of the subscription, and they did. And I'm now paying more for Netflix. And dude, I'm paying like $20 a month, okay? For the Ultra HD, whatever, 4 TVs I can stream on or something. It used to not be any of that. And I think the base, I don't know what the base package is, but I'm sure it's like 13, 14 bucks, 12 bucks at least. And with as much competition as there is in the space now, especially YouTube, the value is much more difficult for me to perceive. And just think about it, right? You have, and this is the beautiful thing about YouTube right now, it's just you have I'm doing it right now. You have user-generated content. You have unlimited content in whatever. And I used to compare Amazon to Walmart. And I'd go, how can Amazon not be Walmart? Because you go to Walmart, you have say you want to buy a swimming pool, like a little blow-up swimming pool. You got one aisle, and maybe even a section of an aisle of those little plastic swimming pools. But on Amazon, the aisle is like 100 pages long, right? You have so many options. So every need that could ever be met is met, right? That's what YouTube is now, in my opinion, versus Netflix. Because now Netflix, the bar is set so high for them. They have to go out and produce and create all this unique content, and they have to hire, writers and so much. And YouTube doesn't have to do any of that. They just have to host it. Netflix has to host it too. That's not good. By the way, I'm not saying bullish Google or whatever, but I want to talk about the grander context now, okay? So, in last earnings season, this is what I said in my tweet, companies like Chipotle were on their earnings calls bragging about how they could now charge whatever they want for a burrito, $16, $15. You see it. If you go to Chipotle, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's like you're walking in there a year later, and this is a grocery store and everything, okay? And Kevin made a video about this a while back of how before the Great Depression, there was a similar sentiment of, we can charge whatever we want. There's so much prosperity. At the stores, we can charge whatever we want. There's so much money. Everybody's got money, right? Why do we all have money? Have you thought about that? Well, we all have money because it was pumped into the economy recently, and has been pumped into the economy, especially the last 10 years since quantitative easing, right? And this is inflating everything in the economy, which caused this incredible bull rally, okay, over the course of the past 10 years, and especially the past 2 years, ironically, because the economy is like the least healthy it's ever been fundamentally, but somehow the stock market, even after this correction, it was absolutely parabolic, right? But at a certain point, right, Chipotle, again, bragging about how much they can charge their customers. I'm sure Netflix thinking the same thing. We can just charge more. And they could. But now, maybe they can't. They're estimating they're going to lose 2 million subscribers. That's by the end of spring. That is a again, remember my thought before, who wouldn't sign up for Netflix at $8 a month? And I was right? Everybody had Netflix. But now, and there's competition that's playing a role in this, of course, yes. But now consumers are saying, no, I'm not paying that much for Netflix anymore? Well, because consumers are resistant, right? Just like we talk about on charts, there's support and resistance that's developed over the course of time. And businesses, they're in to make money, they will push the prices up until they can't anymore, until they find that resistance. But when this happens at scale in the way that it has, right? When you got burritos, they're charging whatever they want for burritos, and Netflix is charging whatever they want for content. And you've been at the gas pump lately? And consumers at large begin to reject the prices in the general economy. You start to see a bigger issue start to come around. And this is what happened in the Great Depression. Eventually, consumers started buying. This creates... I just drove an hour. I took my shoes off, which I think is illegal. I think it's illegal to drive without shoes here. But my shoes are on and you can't prove they were off. So, now I'm pleading the fifth. Wait, what was I saying? Oh, this is what happened in the Great Depression. Eventually, consumers stopped buying because the prices were too high. The prosperity was not there anymore at the scale to continue scaling up. The prosperity was there, but you couldn't continue scaling price. So what happens? Well, demand becomes weak and supply is at an all-time high because all of these businesses are selling as much stuff as they want for as much as they want. And this is what causes bad economic conditions, or call it a crash. And I'm not calling for a crash here. What I'm saying is that this could be a good indicator of a trend that could develop. You see how charts and a trend that could be developing in the near future, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but, and I think that we kind of knew this, didn't we? Right? The writing's kind of on the wall. You go to the grocery store and you spend, I think it's got to be double. And really, it's more than double what I was spending 3 years ago for the same amount of stuff. Okay. This is gonna cause. This could, not gonna, because I'm not a fortune teller. But this could cause this sort of. It's like you climb a mountain and you get to the top, and then you start to go the other way as companies search in competition, search for that demand again when their supply is at such a high level. And this is what can cause not just the prices of stocks, but also the prices of everything to start to deteriorate. And this is what I talk about this in real estate too. It's like, if you bought a house for $150,000 3 years ago, right? Now that house is probably worth $250,000 if you were to put it on the market, or at least in the past 3 months, if you would have. You could have sold it for that much, probably. Same thing goes for $300,000. You're probably selling it for $450,000. $400,000, you're probably selling it for $550,000. You see what I'm saying? $600,000 even. 25% basically in the past 2 or 3 years. That's not normal. It's just not normal to be able to look at your house and say, I'm going to get 8%, 9% out of this every year. That's not how it works, right? If that were how it worked, I don't know. Anyway, I would always say, look at the mortgage. How much is the mortgage costing? Because most people are not buying houses cash, right? They're buying them by borrowing money. How much does the mortgage cost? How much does the family make per year that's going to be buying this house? So if it's a $150,000 house, the family is probably making that's like an average house probably, right? So they're probably making $50,000 to $70,000 a year as a household. And so they're willing to pay for that $150,000 house are willing to pay, let's say, $1,000 a month, just for example. But now, if it's $220,000, or let's say it's $800 a month. If it's $220,000, now suddenly their mortgage could end up being like $1,100, $1,200 a month. This is the same family. Well, they're not paying. They're making $50,000 a year. They don't want to pay that for a mortgage, $1,000, $1,100, and the house is still the same. It's not a different house. And then also, the people who are making in the next bracket up, say $80,000, $90,000, to $100,000 a year, they don't want that house that's $220,000 now, because like they're looking at it like, well, 3 years ago I could have gotten so much more, right? For this. That's and also that's happening to the family that would have been buying the $150,000 house. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a trend. I'm just saying, people, I'm looking at, I look at rentals, and I look at the housing market right now, and I look at realtor or something like that, and I'm like, no, everything, no. I don't want to rent, and I don't want to buy. I'm not doing any of that. That's crazy. Everything's too expensive. So, more people will start to think like this more and more, and that is what causes, right? Because right now, oh man, you sell your house, you got, 10 offers and blah, 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 blah. There's just money flying around. Now they're starting to tighten up the money. The loans aren't being granted as well. The interest rates are higher. People are going to have to start thinking about these purchases a little bit more than they did before. And that is not just for housing, it's for everything. It's also for Netflix. It's also for Chipotle. This is what's going on, in my opinion, in the economy. So hopefully that wasn't too boring or something. Hopefully I kept it a little interesting. Let me know what your thoughts are. Drop a comment down below. Tell me what you think about the economy in general. I think we're in an interesting time, man. And I also tweeted Spider 400. Honestly, dude, I think that this Netflix thing is one of the me personally, my gut tells me that this is a great indicator for the rest of the economy. But tell me what you think in the comments down below. I appreciate you if you watch until the end. Discord link and my Twitter is down below if you don't follow me there already. And until next time, peace.